My video for December the 14th, 2018 is video number 2936, and its title is Congressional Reform Act, Common Sense. As reported to me, again, quote, 1, no tenure, no pension. A congressman, woman, collects a salary while in office and receives no pay when they are out of office, and no more perks go with them. 2, Congress, past, present, and future, participates in Social Security. All funds in the Congressional Retirement Fund move to the Social Security system immediately. All future funds flow into the Social Security system, and Congress participates with the American people. It may not be used for any other purpose. 3, Congress must purchase their own retirement plan, just as all Americans do. 4, Congress will no longer vote themselves a pay raise. Congressional pay will rise by the lower of CPI, I forget what that means, or 3%. 5, Congress loses their current healthcare system and participates in the same healthcare system as the American people. 6, Congress must equally abide by all laws they impose on the American people. In parentheses, i.e., no more insider training, and brackets. 7, all contracts with past and present congressmen, women, are void. The American people did not make this contract with congressmen and women. Congress made these contracts by and for themselves. Serving in Congress is an honor, not a privilege, not a career. The founding fathers envisioned citizen legislatures should serve their terms, then go home and go back to work, not get all kinds of freebies, end quote. Snopes reports it as a repeat of the Congressional Reform Act of 2011, now saying 2017 and calling it a Trump proposal. Let me say that I consider Snopes generally a disinformation site. However, I did read what the stuff that they put on their page in relation to this act, and there was an act presented before Congress. Again, it was back in 2011 that it was presented, and probably even earlier than that. There were people pushing forth the idea that the people that are patriots that realize there's a two-tier system in America of, again, an elite group and the rest of us. And of course, you know, my position has always been there are no elite. Elite is a stolen, fabricated identity that pits them against the people and puts them supposedly on a level higher than the people. But these, as I've said in so many other videos, are people who commit crimes against, not just against humanity in their war efforts, but against the most innocent of humans, that is, children and even infants and babies. I mean, the stuff that goes on in the elite levels is absolute insanity. The people that run the financial system of the world are slave owners. They consider themselves the owners. Everybody else is their slave. Now, of course, they adopt many people into their family as long as the people that they adopt into their family go along with the party line, as it were. In other words, keep telling the lies. We have been lied to as humans all of our lives. Now, I did see more than one example of everything changed in the 1800s. Okay, everything changed, and some suggest that whole areas of the United States and probably around the world were wiped out by some cataclysm, and something new came up after that toward the latter half of the 19th century, the 1800s. So I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't know if we can, when Congress needs to be swept clean, as far as I'm concerned, the whole political structure, the whole economic structure of the world needs to be swept clean. There need to be major, major changes. How quickly they can come about depends on how much help we get. If we allow it to go as it's been going, with the elite pulling the strings and using force to maintain the status quo as best they can, we're going to see humanity eliminated from the planet Earth. That's the pure truth of it. And it doesn't matter what congressional reform acts there may be, the reform needs to be no more corporations. That's the original 13th Amendment. A corporation is an alliance with a foreign power, and that's against the law in the United States. It's an act of treason, and it needs to be treated as such. And who's going to enforce it? That's the question. To know the truth is one thing. To be able to enforce natural law and common law is quite a different story. Natural law, you might say, is the survival of the fittest. Is it? Or has nature itself been compromised in the destruction of so much of the natural habitat and killing off of entire species of animals? And I mean, there's been so much manipulation that is detrimental to humankind, and actually detrimental to human, or not just human life, but life itself on the planet, because we've allowed, or somebody has allowed, demons or dark influences to not only exist, but to take control of everybody else. There's no one in the whole world that wants truth and justice to prevail more than I do, because that's going to be the foundation upon which we become again able to actually love one another and treat each other with respect. I don't know what the history of the world is, and perhaps nobody else does either. I mean, there has to be somebody somewhere that does, but I don't know if humanity has that knowledge. I think that knowledge is held at a higher level, but I don't know that that's true. That's a belief of mine. It may not be true. I do, and along with many of you, I know many of you that would listen to me and have listened to me and shown me support by listening over the years that I've been doing this. Many of you feel that something has to change. Something has to give. It can't keep going on the way that it's been. It's going to take more than reform acts. We need to really drain the swamp, as Trump promised to do. But I don't know that Trump is able to do that, because the only way he got elected was to be somewhat aligned with economic powers that are fighting with other economic powers, and there's apparently two groups clashing for control and leadership. You know, we live an insane existence as human beings on this planet, and I would like to see us empowered and enriched, not necessarily monetarily enriched, but enriched to the point that we have our talents, gifts, and abilities restored, and we're able to make the changes that need to be made to restore sanity and common sense on a planet, in a world that has long lacked those qualities. Thank you folks again for listening, and namaste.